Hey, we're going to be making this folk art birdhouse today. Some of the materials you will have had to prep beforehand, so you should have these all ready, but you'll have your cardboard, scissors maybe, glue, paint, and salt dough that's already been mixed up. So make sure you're following those instructions from the specials web page. If you haven't already prepped your materials, pause the video and get those ready. So here we have our two house-shaped cardboard pieces. One has a circle cut out of it. And then we have our paints. You can choose about 3 or 4 different colors. I chose teal, blue, red, and black. So grab your paint tray and a brush and probably some water. And we're gonna start by painting the circle, the inside of the birdhouse. This is where the bird is gonna be coming out. So I'm gonna stack up my pieces of cardboard and I'm just going to paint inside that circle using that shape to kind of like as a stencil. And I'm just using black. I'm just doing this circle because I don't want to have to paint that whole piece of cardboard black, just where I need it. So now I can glue them together. So you can use liquid glue or a glue stick, whatever you have. So they're glued together, and now I'm going to take a crayon and I'm going to start to add some fun designs. You can use whatever color your crayon you want. I chose white just because I like the way it looks on the cardboard. So I'm just gonna speed this up, but you can really do any design that you want. But I would keep it simple because you're going to be painting in each shape. So here we are, super simple. You can always add more detail with paint later. So I just start painting in the different shapes with solid colors. I'm not going to go crazy with patterns. And I do want my white to show through. That's just the way I like it to look. So I'm going to try not to paint over my white lines, but again, that's your choice if you want to. Yeah, so we'll speed this up, but of course you can paint at your own pace. Just about done here, just filling in the shapes. Then I'm gonna let that dry a little bit more so that I can add some more patterns with paint. Go ahead and pause the video right here and let your birdhouse dry. So I love to add patterns using dots. It's something that's super simple to control. You can use different colors, put them in different areas to make different patterns. But of course, it's up to you, whatever sort of pattern you want to add. I'm going to speed this up, and then we'll get to making a bird. Once you're finished with painting the birdhouse, you're going to get your salt dough. You don't need very much of this. It's kind of a small bird, so you probably won't end up using the whole thing that you made. But I'm going to take a small piece and break it in half. So I end up with a piece or two that are about the size of a ping pong ball or golf ball. So one of the halves I'm going to color. So I'm gonna make my bird red, so I'm just going to take some paint and I'm gonna mush it up in there. Now you could do this with food coloring, but that will definitely stain your hands. So I'm just using a little bit of the paint that I used to paint my birdhouse. And then you just mush it up really, really well until it's pretty even. You're gonna wanna have a wet rag nearby just to wipe your hands off, as it is a little messy. Okay, now I'm just gonna wipe my hands off really well, so I'm ready for my next color. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab the other piece and I'm gonna pull off a little bit of it. Not too much. There we go. And this one I'm going to color blue. This next piece that we're making now is going to be for the wing on your bird, if that helps. And again, I'm just gonna squish that paint up into the dough. Okay, so I'm gonna wipe my hands off one more time, as we have one more color to make, and this will be the color of the beak. So I just pull off a little bit, about the same size as the blue one I just made, but you probably won't even end up using that much. I'm gonna make my bird's beak black, so I'm gonna do the same thing, just putting a little black paint in there and mixing it up. When you're done with that, you're gonna give your hands one more good wipe, and then we can start to make the bird. So you're gonna start with the biggest piece. This is gonna be the bird's body. So we're gonna roll it into a ball, and then making sure that it's nice and smooth. Mine still has a little bit of mixing, but I'm gonna smush it down so it's flatter. And what I want to do is make a semicircle, so a half circle. So I'm going to squeeze out those sides and keep pressing down because I want it to be the same thickness. So I'm just working away, making a semicircle or something close to that. I'm just gonna squeeze those edges a little bit so that they're pointy. This side is going to be the head of the bird. So I just want to kind of define that a little bit by squeezing it in, kind of pinching the neck to be a little bit smaller and giving the beak a little point. You can kind of see that the beak is pointing up. So we're just going to make sure that that's defined there. There. And that's a bird body and head. Okay, so we've got the beak, the head, and the body. So now I'm going to grab the color that I mixed up for the wing, which is this blue color. And what I want to do is make a teardrop shape. I don't think I need all of it, so I'm going to pinch off a little bit. I'm going to start by making a sphere. Then I pinch one side and flatten out the other. And this is going to give you a nice teardrop shape. Now you don't want this to be too thick, so you kind of squish it out and reshape it to make a nice teardrop. When you're happy with your shape, you're just going to stick it on your bird. Now the rounded part goes toward the bird's head. And then you just sort of attach it by pushing it on there. And when it dries, it should stick just fine. Now we have the black, which I'm going to use for two things, and I really only need a tiny little bit. So I'm gonna take off a little tiny piece, and I'm gonna make two things out of this tiny piece. I'm going to make the beak and the eye. Now I know that salt dough kind of, when it flattens out, it tends to spread out a lot, so I really want a tiny little piece for each of these. So this will be the eye, and I'm just gonna squish it on there. And then I guess I could use just that one will be fine. This one will be the beak, and I'm gonna roll it out, kind of like you were making a teardrop shape before. And I'm just going to stick that onto the beak that's already there and just kind of cover it up with this black piece. Make sure it's stuck down on there. Give it a little pinch to make it pointy, and yeah, pretty good. And now I'm just gonna kind of play around with texture a little bit. I grabbed a fork because you can press into your salt dough and make some interesting texture patterns. So I just did that on the wing, kind of gently pressing, just to make it a little more interesting. That's optional. Now for the last step, I just went outside and grabbed some grass and a piece of Spanish moss just to add like a nest on the bottom of the inside circle there. So just using a little liquid glue or even a glue stick would work. And kind of paste in your grass so it looks like it's sticking out. And then you're ready to glue your bird in. So very gently, you're going to put glue on the back of your bird. And I use not so much that it's going to squish out from behind, but a good bit. Make sure that it's really stuck down on there. And I'm going to very gently just place it in the nest in the birdhouse. There you go. And you're done. So I'm super excited to see what you guys make. Make sure you email me a picture, and that's it. All right, have fun with this one, guys.